I think as a culture as well, we're much more inclined to do that now. I mean, just media in general, those magazines that, point out somebody's dimply thigh as if, when you were a kid, if you said that, look, that person's fat or something, you're a kid, your mother would give you a kick, clout around the ear because you're not allowed to say things like rude things like that. And sort of now it's actually, all right to say things like that, which is, everybody's mother needs to give them a collective kick around the ear about that kind of stuff. I tend to listen to sort of singers, I like Nina Simone and Joni Mitchell and people like that. I'm sort of drawn to a really unique kind of voice usually, and I'm listening to a lot of. We're on tour at the Low Anthem at the moment, and I love their record. It's called Oh My God, Charlie Darwin. I think they describe it as a confused gospel record, which is good. So I'm listening to that and Fleet Foxes and Bon Iver, and I always like really good harmonies as well. That's always kind of important. So when the Fleet Foxes record came out, I was like, oh, perfect. Myself and some friends went to see Sigur Rós playing in London. We made the trip over there, and that was just extraordinary. It was I think it was the TAC, the TAC record, and it was in Hammersmith, Apollo, I think. But they had that whole tour. They just had this amazing, just incredible lights, and it was just one of those gigs that washed over you, because we built it up for ages and we'd all gone over on the plane, and it was just such a lovely trip. So I just remember that fondly. I remember seeing Radiohead play in Glastonbury, the non-rainy season one, which was incredible. Like myself and my friend Ben, we must have been like a good 100 yards behind the sound desk. We were really, really far back, and it was absolutely silent. If you wanted to say, you'd be like, this is amazing. There was no just like, where's my cider? There was no, like, nobody was talking, and this was the main field in Glastonbury on a Saturday night, and completely silent. It was just spooky. So that was incredible. Going to music festivals did change my outlook on some things. Like that. That's something that after I did it, I couldn't believe that I didn't do it more often, or it was a shame that I hadn't done it up until that point. There's a few really good ones that I've been to, especially this one in Ireland called Electric Picnic, which is amazing. It's on at the end of August, sort of September time, and myself and my friends go there every year, and we set up a big camp and just eat really nice food and just have fun for a few days, and that sort of changed my outlook on festivals. Like, a lot of times you just go to festivals and you play them and then you go home, and I'm not really into that anymore. I insist that I get to camp, get my wellies on. I really enjoyed learning stuff, so I really, I liked books and I liked learning things. So, and there was some really nice people in school, and I had some really lovely friends, and so I didn't hate school by any stretch. I did enjoy all my books and all that kind of stuff. So I suppose I was a little bit nerdy, but I don't think that's a negative thing in my head. The world is in a very, very tough, going through a very tough time economically, obviously everywhere, all over the place, and it's great that at that time people are hopeful and people are excited as well. It's not all doom and gloom, because I think it does actually make people hopeful, and that's what a gift their job is an awful lot harder than mine, you know, and it's great to be able to contribute to something like that, for people who are doing proper, real important work, as opposed to, you know, sitting around singing songs. So, so no, I'm very much interested in helping out, and you know, environmental charities, that just, you know, that just makes sense for everybody who's alive. You know, you have to pay attention to that, or it'll pay attention to you. I love just walking around. You know, I've spent so many hours just tramping around the place, and there's great places, restaurants and little shops and museums and places. But to me, I just love tramping around the place here, you know, and just getting your takeaway coffee, and just I do this thing when I'm here that my friend calls sprawking, where you just kind of walk to a corner and then decide which road looks more interesting, and then walking, you know, and then the next corner you do the same thing, and you end up just going on a very strange trip around the place just purely on what looks vaguely interesting. And I've spent a good few days doing that here. This is the best place to do it. It's the perfect place to do it. I tend to procrastinate a lot by making elaborate dinners and soups and, yeah, baking and things. But it's not really procrastinating, because, you know, while I'm doing that, I'll be humming and thinking of words and stuff. So it's sort of procrastinating, but it's semi-useful. I would happily have a song in a movie or in, you know, something like that I think that works. And it just, I mean, everybody's different, but I certainly wouldn't want a song really in an ad. I just think that's what it becomes then, you know. But I mean, it can do great things, and a lot of people can hear your song and go, "What's that?" and go and seek it out. But it's kind of lost a little bit then, hasn't it? You gotta pay to play if you're gonna if you're gonna do that. Everybody, everywhere, who has the internet or access to the internet can listen to music from anywhere, which is, you know, not the case when I was growing up, in that you know, I had heard of Michael Jackson and stuff, but, you know, I didn't hear from that small band that recorded something in their basement from South America or anything. Whereas now, obviously it's still hard to get yourself heard, but, you know, it's great that big bands and small bands all have this vehicle that they can use to their advantage, or, you know, just to reach out to people, and people can find what they're into from many different places, and not necessarily what's cool or what's pushed or what's popular. There was a couple of people in Boston, actually. I was talking about uncoordinated dancing and how it's more fun than good dancing, and encouraging people to do that, and most people were like, but didn't really dance at all. And there was a couple, they were I think they were sort of in their 40s or something, like proper full-on swing dancing in the corner. It was fantastic, like smiling away. They were having a great laugh. That was great to see. That was really, really special. We should have found them afterwards and brought them with us. We found a sushi place in Charlottesville, actually, strange enough, which had the best sushi I've ever had. I think it's called 10. 10. It was amazing. That was delicious. And mostly sushi, because we don't really get that much sushi in Ireland. So there's a place in LA called Shintaro as well that we ate 4 nights in a row. It was still as nice on night 4 as it was on night 1. So they're mostly sushi places. But Charlottesville, sushi capital of America, in my eyes.